So I believe I'm simulating like a month or something since the last video. Luckily for us in our draft prospects, we lose the majority of these games, so that's a good thing. And I think there are some things that we learned in this stretch. Number one, Michael Porter Jr. is probably not going to win Rookie of the Year. He's in 5th place. It breaks my heart. But let's look at what everybody else is doing. You know, why is Porter falling here? Well, for one, DeAndre Ayton's starting to feel himself a little bit more. He's having a lot of double-double games. What was that, 15 points and 15 rebounds against the Cavaliers? Luckily for us, we're not going to be dealing with Atlanta in a potential playoff matchup because I really don't want to see DeAndre Ayton. Also, nice little tidbit. After he gets this offensive rebound, in the original thing, he did a hook shot on the other side of the backboard, and I didn't want to show it, so I edited it out of the video. Because 2K just loves hook shots that go out of bounds. But yeah, Ayton's good. Luka Doncic, number 2, the guy who I said wasn't going to be great at anything. I don't know why I said that. 24-6 against the Cavaliers. Doncic is such an interesting player because no one knows what the hell he actually is. Go Google him. Okay, you're going to see that he's a 2-guard, a small forward, a point guard. People say that he's not athletic. Others say that he's sneaky athletic, which I don't really know what that means. But the consensus is that he's really good, so that's the takeaway from all that. Marvin Bagley is having himself a weird year for the Celtics because his scoring is by far the lowest of all these candidates, but he has games like this one where he gets 13 rebounds and 3 assists and a couple block shots. He's already Al Horford, where his impact doesn't exactly equal his box score numbers. I know part of it is because the Celtics team's got Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward and Tatum and, you know, a lot of guys to shoot the ball, so Bagley's not going to get as many opportunities, but, you know, I don't know where I'm going with that, but there you go. And even Colin Sexton is above Michael Porter Jr. Sexton being a real offensive source for the Magic. The playmaking isn't the best, but he can probably improve on it, and I don't even think his shooting is that great, but if you can just be a constant attacker of the basket, then I guess that works out for you. Shout out to D'Angelo Russell for no reason at all. I just saw him in the video and I wanted to say that. Anyway, we got to see some other things with us. We're going to start with Alonzo Trier, who has gotten some minutes since we traded away Troy Daniels. He's had some performances. He had 2 good games against the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe that's the reason I wanted to shout out D'Angelo Russell, because I knew this was coming up. I don't remember. The thing with Trier is he's a natural scorer. He's got some isolation abilities, mid-range shots, finishing around the rim, and I believe his 3-point shot, while it's not there to where his inside game is, it's good enough to where it can be developed into something pretty above average. I mean, the thing with Trier, though, it's going to be a matter of can he just fit within the flow of an offense, you know? Because we're kind of seeing that right now with TJ Warren, where even when Warren puts up points like we saw in that Pistons game last, it's got to come from, like, isolations, you know? Can Trier be a piece of an offense even if he doesn't have the ball possession after possession, you know? Now, he did have a rough one here against the T-Wolves, where he was only 2 for 9, and I do think part of this might have just been because he got matched up on Jimmy Butler. But also, I think it's interesting that a guy like him could sometimes get himself into some tough shots just because he is sort of a isolation player. Sometimes he might get some bad shots off. But an interesting thing here against the Clippers is that he attempted 5 free throws, and you'll see a lot of these games, he's able to get to the line at least a couple of times a game, you know? And I think that's another part of his potential as an offensive player, is that he can actually like get to the free throw line and generate some extra points that way. So I think Trier's got a lot of talent as a scorer, and I do think it's possible that he could end up being our backup 2-guard. I mean, we're going to look at Davon Reed in a second here, but what Troy Daniels was giving us as a shooter, I think Trier can give us that, but maybe even a little more, just because he's got more like ball handling abilities, and, you know, getting to the line helps you out as well. So, you know, he's going to keep on getting minutes as the season goes. And Davon, still is having a tough time finishing. I mean, his thing offensively really is just like 3-point shots, and if he doesn't have that, then he could have a tough time, okay? And those threes are not going in really at all, because unlike Alonzo, he doesn't really have many abilities in terms of beating guys off the dribble, playing in the pick and roll, that sort of thing. But an interesting thing has developed a little bit for Davon in that he's making plays. A couple of games here with 4 assists. The game up top against the Bucks, he had 3 assists. I know he had a couple of multi-assists games when we were playing him towards the end of last season. This is something that's kind of interesting, and I think this is a thing we could build on with him, is being maybe like a Joe Ingles kind of a playmaker where, sure, we don't give them the ball too much, but we give it to him just enough to where he could actually make some plays for others. It's an interesting idea. I think it would take some time. We would have to work on the ball handling, but especially because his 3-point shot is currently not dropping, that may be his way to make an impact. And of course, defensively, he is good, and I would say he's one of our better perimeter defenders, and he's definitely a better one than Alonzo Trier is. So maybe that's a project we can take on, working on Davon Reed's ball handling abilities. I don't know, is like a Joe Ingles, Andre Iguodala, Scottie Pippen on the Trailblazers? That one might be a little too good, but is that like a realistic thing for Davon Reed? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Also, congratulations, because you just watched a 30-second clip of Davon Reed dribbling a basketball. So, yeah, we got here together, guys. Now, let's look at us as a team. We're 12th in offense, 13th in offense, actually, but we are a disaster defensively, 3rd worst in the league. And you look at some of our recent games against the Mavericks, Dennis Smith and Harrison Barnes did whatever they wanted against us. Now, to be fair, Dennis Smith hit like 7 threes or something, so we may have been daring him to do the right thing, but he ended up making them in anyway. I mean, Patrick Beverley is back, so the idea of our perimeter defense being a little better would make some sense, but I guess it wasn't the case against Dennis Smith. I mean, here's the thing. We don't have a lot of actual good defenders, especially on the perimeter, right? Like between TJ Warren, Devin Booker, Michael Porter Jr., there's not a lot of guys who can really do stuff. And you face a team like Dallas and Rick Carlisle's system that has a lot of ball movement and a decent amount of shooters, even if the talent isn't the best. Zach LaVine managed to find his way onto the 76ers somehow, and he had himself a game as well. Was he going at Devin Booker? Did he get switched on to Porter a couple times? You know, I think a trend is developing here where we're kind of getting killed by wing players. Wings and guards. I mean, sure, like big guys have had some games against us, but even in this one here, like Anthony Davis was not the reason why, or DeMarcus Cousins. You know, both of those guys weren't the best, but Etuan Moore had himself like 16 points or whatever, and then Drew Holiday had like 21. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe our perimeter defense isn't very good, and our big guys between Bam Adebayo and Tyson Chandler are able to make up for the stuff around the basket. But then again, Towns was really good in this game. But the guy I want to focus on is Michael Beasley. We gave up 17 points to the Bees. And earlier, there was clips of this T-Wolves game, and the jerseys were not the jerseys that they are in this video. But it's fine, don't worry about it. Just don't talk about it, and we can get through this together. The point is, our defense sucks. And there is one possible solution, and that is to put Josh Jackson in the starting 5. He's a way better defender than TJ Warren. I mean, he is our best perimeter defender. Well, Patrick Beverley, I guess, technically is, but Jackson can defend more positions, and we've seen the impact that he's had when I've played some games. So that may be the next option, to enter the starting lineup for Josh Jackson, maybe improve our defense a bit. And, I mean, TJ Warren would probably be the guy out, or maybe Michael Porter Jr. would be because he's the rookie and all that. I don't know, but that could be the move. Also, new podcast in the description. I spoke on Markelle Fultz's return, and I talked about the first 2 episodes of AMC's new horror show, The Terror.